not an expert, again, that's a disclaimer. So, what would I say to a group of experts sitting here on education? Well, I would only start with saying, we are a civilization who always gave importance to education, to knowledge. We believe knowledge is power. Nahi gnanena sadrisham, gnanam paramam dheyam. All these verses, they say how important knowledge is. Now, Nelson Mandela also said, education is the most powerful tool to change the world. So what is education finally? Is it just the 3 R's, the reading, writing and arithmetic? Martin Luther King said, education is that which makes a person think intensively and think critically. It is one which builds the character in the person. So this is, and I am absolutely not against rote learning, because rote learning, of course, it is the basic. Now after A comes B, after B comes C, it's something which you learn by rote. Tables are something which you learn by rote. And many mathematical formula, yes, of course, if you learn by rote, you are able to use it further. So rote learning is also equally important. But education has seen a sea change over the last many years. If I ask my parents, they would say, we had a completely different set of education system. Their schools were really different, what they studied was different. Our times it was different. And what I see in my children, it's again entirely different. And these days we always complain that children do not have concentration. They're always distracted. They're always into smartphones, laptops, tablets, and they get easily distracted and not able to concentrate. So yes, I agree, technology is very important, but of course we should always, I think, we should also focus on developing concentration in the kids. So how does one do that? Unless we tell them, we keep telling them, concentrate, but then we don't tell them how to concentrate. So I think this skill we still need to imbibe in our today's kids. Concentration, of course, comes with reading books. Reading books has now become archaic with all this technology, but that is one thing which really makes the children learn concentration. And of course, schools should have, in today's modern world with all the distractions, it must have any kind of meditation, whatever, the yogic kind of meditation or the Buddhism, Zen meditation or whatever. But I do recommend meditation to be made compulsory to all the students, because it really helps. Another thing that I realize these days is, of course, we give importance to what a career brings, but then we are losing focus on the values. We don't read too many inspiring stories. We don't read great personalities. We have great personalities, great achievers, successful people from all times, all over the world. But we hardly have these in our textbooks these days. Not many. So I think we need to, because by reading this, a child develops how to tackle a problem, how to overcome an obstacle. He develops empathy, understanding, humane values. So I think we need to inculcate more of these inspiring stories of great people. And another thing I realized, of course, in my career these days, I have realized that the textbooks are still speaking of the same old gender roles. Like she is Kamala, she helps her mother in the kitchen. He is Ramesh, he goes to the market with his father. He helps his father by going to the market. This is still to change. I think as long as the gender roles don't change, we are not going to see equality. The gender equality is not going to see the light of the day. So unless we say that everybody can do everything, when women have gone to space, they've ruled the world, even men can help in kitchen, there's nothing wrong with it. So I think these gender roles are one thing that need more focus in textbook curriculum. Another thing which I feel is cybercrime. Now that the kids are too much into internet and such things, either they will become cyber criminals or they will become victims of cybercrime. So we need to inculcate at in every class, what is cybercrime, how to avoid being a victim, what precautions to take, and minimum such basic knowledge about cybercrime. Another thing I find is, now of course I'm in Home Guards, Home guards and civil defense also also assist in disasters. So I feel that these days Bangalore has been affected by flash flooding. Almost every year there is a flash flooding when there is rain. Chennai was affected with flash flooding. Of course, floods, you know the reasons, but then flash flooding are also because of improper drainage and so on. But then what to do in such cases? How to at least take some precautions so that your important valuables, leave alone money, leave alone gold, etc. What about your valuable certificates? So how do you prevent it? Where do you make a copy of it and keep it safe? So I think these basic things, what to do in preparedness for a disaster, I think this also needs to be inculcated in curriculum. And another thing I find is, my father used to say, he would say, city children cannot distinguish between ragi and mustard. Sasve hagu ragi nadve aurge kaisa gotagala, because both look alike. I think it is the same with my children, of course, now. So we need to take children to closer to practical experience. We need to take them to farms, make them see different crops. We need to take them to places, yes, of course, farms where how milking of cows is done. I, of course, used to see from my grandmother how she used to milk the cow. But then these kids have not seen. So how to milk a cow, how the sheep are raised. All these, I think, they need to get a practical experience. And of course, how to open an account in bank. Of course, now it is online banking. But unless, see, my first banking experience was with when I almost was on the verge of getting into IPS. I had passed Junior Research Fellowship by UGC, so just enrolled for my PhD for 4 months. I used to get fellowship of about 6,000 those days per month. So that was the first time I opened an account and put that check in my this one. So the banking procedures were learned only that time. That is one area again. We need to focus on how to give practical experience to children. And of course, I'm in the police, so I will definitely say this. We are trying to make police people friendly, but it's not a one-sided effort. It has to come from the other side also. So I think more and more children need to visit. It can be made compulsory that they visit a police station, know how a police station functions. After all, police are not to be scared. If any problem is there, the first one to be approached are the police. So that, and also how to how to control traffic, because we all violate traffic rules. But you will not understand, you will not be empathetic to the traffic policeman sitting on the road from morning till noon or evening in the hot sun. How to be empathetic to him? You still keep violating the traffic rules. So I think there is need to inculcate not just the traffic behavior, good behavior about traffic, this one, but we need to also give them a role playing, wherein they play a traffic policeman for 2 hours or 1 hour once in a year. So that apart, I would only, of course I'll take very less time now. Every child is unique and the talent is distributed in each one of us. Nature has distributed talent in a very unique way, and each one of us is unique. But that uniqueness, the talent that we are endowed, some of us realize it very early in life, that is good for them. Some of us realize late in life about the talents that we are endowed with, and some die never realizing it, unfortunately. But good if they realize it early. But then, talents again are not equally rewarded by the society. In the same society, some talents are more rewarded while some are rewarded less. And again, from one society to another, the talents, how they are rewarded differs. For example, in USA, being an advocate, being an attorney, it is quite valued. All presidents, I think, have been lawyers. But what about our country? We don't value our lawyers as much as that is done in USA. So the same talent or the same profession can be valued differently. Now I went to Australia for our phase 4 training, and I was just asking the Australian policeman, what profession do you value the most? What is the dream of an average Australian? He said it is to become a sports person. So how many of us in India, we think or we tell our our kids that you should be a sports person? No, it is not valued except cricket. So there is always a conflict between the talent that you may have and what the society will value. That is where the conflict comes. And for me, luckily, I did not have this conflict. My parents said I have to be an IAS or an IPS, and I found it according to my taste, and I studied for it, slogged for it, and became. But very many children have this conflict. For example, a child may be beautifully endowed with the gift of music or fine art, but the parent wants him to become an engineer or a doctor, because being a musician doesn't earn as much respect, and also doesn't give him that much money, doesn't earn money. But this is beautifully portrayed in the movie Three Idiots. Right? The person who is an IIT graduate, he wants to become a photographer, but the parents look down upon being a photographer. So this is where counseling is required, not guidance is required, not just by parents, but also by teachers. You have to tell them, look, this is your talent, fine, you have a passion for it. You pursue it. And when something is one's passion, one can reach heights. Because when work becomes passion, if both are combined, there's no limit to success. But at the same time, you will also have to tell him that this talent may not reward you suitably, and then leave the choice to the person. Because either he will choose his passion, or he will choose what the parent wants, that is the profession that is most valued. But finally, what will happen? You know, there is a saying, grass is always greener on the other side. If he chooses passion, he may regret later in life about, well, I should have listened to my parents. And if he has chosen what his parents wanted to do, he might still think, oh, I should have gone by my heart. But then, grass is always greener on the other side. This is life. And so we should give them, we should enable them to make choices. And of course, life is all about adjustment. Or after you have made a choice, you put in your heart out and try to strive or come up. And of course, now I just remembered, Mr. Tanveer Seth is there. We always think of careers like, of course, IAS, IPS, or doctors, engineers. These are the most sought after these days. But why not make politics as a career? How many of our teachers or parents tell, make politics your career? Why? Don't you think politics is something also, it needs a professional approach? Why should always the dynasts rule? We keep cribbing, oh, dynasts, one after the other, after the father, the son will take over and he will become the MLA or he will become the minister, prime minister, whatever. But are we also not encouraging it in a way by not taking, by acts of omission? Why don't we tell our kids, politics is also a career? You learn the grassroots level of how a politician works in a corporation, the municipal corporation or the village panchayat, and then the legislative assembly. Learn this, help people, learn the systems. Why don't we say this? I think we should do that also. And along with academic education, the schools must have vocational training, which we don't have, unfortunately, because not all children, of course, are interested in academics. I used to find my friends really grudgingly studying the textbooks, So, not all are interested in academics. So, if they want to drop out, or let us say by high school, let us give them all kinds of vocational education like plumbing, electric work, carpentry. There's nothing wrong in all these. Of course, the society finally needs these people too. So if you're not good in academics, let them choose these professions. And if they're passionate about it, then they can innovate further in these, and we may see the best carpentry in the world or the best plumbery in the world. So with these words, I know there's a lot for deliberation, and I think I've just given a take to thinking mind. With these words, I thank the organizers for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, Roopa.